So in this video, we're going to cover the big one. We're going to cover how to find your meaning in life, what I consider to be the meaning of life, relative value, and finding your values. All these elements, girl, and we still couldn't find chemistry. Every major civilization built itself over a major resource or value. Let's take a moment to appreciate this masterpiece. Nice. Resources are defined by scarcity and abundance, and resources can also be defined or inherited by religion, folklore, or science. Some of these examples can be like salt with the Roman Empire, because that's what comes to mind, jade with the Orient, as well as building next to the Nile when it comes to Egyptians. When building a civilization, you take all your people into account, and you want to maximize the gains or the fruit that you obtain with the labor from the resources. So it makes sense that everything is centered around these resources. Now I can get into social, economic, and topographic obstacles, but for now, just keep in mind that the best way to maximize is to keep the distance close, or to close the distance. Same thing with us as humans. We tend to value the emotions that are most scarce in our lives, because we feel that if we had those, we would be complete or fulfilled, which kind of makes sense. Some people pursue danger because it makes them feel alive, because it's one of the emotions that they lack the most. Some people seek empathy, love. It could be anything. Now, whether or not the value is inherited through tradition, religion, there are certain places, people, or things that make you feel a certain way and react a certain way. Now, how you react and how you feel is something that's learned. For instance, there's a lot of people here that are very afraid of the sea and afraid of drowning. But in some cultures, it's natural for kids to hold their breath underwater for 5 to 10 minutes. Adventure for someone might be encountering something that scares them, and adventure for another might be something exciting and something new. We could try uncomfortable as something creative, or something very difficult as creative, or a marriage of both. Now, if I said right now, think of something you really, really, really want. You're really thinking of an item, a person, place, or thing, some type of condition with a person, say the love of your life, a promotion. Imagine you were to obtain that or have that realized. How do you feel then? What type of emotion is it? Is it an emotion that reconciliates itself? Is it an emotion that's no longer there? Is it an emotion that's been fulfilled? What is it about this emotion that draws you to it? Does it make you feel more significant? Does it give your life more meaning? Does it make you feel loved? There's a high probability that you love this emotion and you want to pursue it. And you've dedicated a lot of your life and built your habits and just your rituals into obtaining more of it. This emotion makes you feel alive, and it bounds you, it cements you more to this reality. Not going too deep into emotional interpretation and conditioning, your entire existence or your entire reality is based on a foundation of values and what you deem to be significant and meaningful. And because you are volatile, you have these thoughts and patterns, and you want to maximize how often you come into these valuable resources as much as possible, regardless if it's the right way or not. Just like a coal mining town, it would make sense for everyone to position their lives to suit working at the mines or doing whatever they want with it, and as well as sustaining their life. Most likely you feel lack of something and you want that piece to complete you. So your consciousness and your reticular activating system, everything is putting everything into full gear to find you opportunities or just what it takes to get these things done and recover these things. One thing to come to terms with if you want to pursue your value or significance is making sure that your values and your meaning and what you deem significant is something that you hold. And you hold because you believe it and not because someone else told you so. Now I'm going to give an atheistic or non-Christian example, but for me, it was important to establish why I believed in Christ and why Christ was valuable to me. I had to come to the truths and the postulates and theorems and proofs, and I had to decide for myself if it's something that I wanted or if it was something that I wanted because someone else wanted it for me. That's very important when finding your meaning or significance, because if you have this non-consistent, not full integrity thought pattern or value beliefs, you're going to waver a lot. And when it comes to big decisions in life or big opportunities, you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to be able to make a really good choice. Now I'm going to turn to the nihilistic view. And in this reality, you can give anything you want meaning. Like, seriously, you can give anything you want. You want to give peanuts meaning? Go for it. You want to give piano meaning? Like, by all means. There's nothing sacred when it comes to nihilism. And the reason I say this is because if you believe in anything above you, anything above humanity or transcendence, that means your values are inherited through something above you. But if there's no such thing as transcendence, it's man's opinion versus man's opinion. And either you have this grand judge or grand schemer within man that says, hey, this is the standard of good or bad, this is the standard of value, then you can decide for yourself. But if there is no judge or anything, it's no holds barred. Everyone decides what they want. Now you could be like, but I've inherited from my grandpa, my great-great-grandpa. At the same time, you have to decide, it's like, well, where did he get his meanings and his values from? And what you say next is going to base upon what you find the most valuable. Is it a collective effort or is it an individual effort? Is it a higher good? Like, is it because of the community? Is it because is it pushing humanity forward? If it's all about pushing humanity forward, you got to decide, why is humanity valuable? Like, what are we doing that's so valuable? Not to be a buzzkill, but what if we've accomplished so much with technology and advancement in our genome or whatever you want to call it, and a million years into the future, all it takes is one nuke to destroy all life everywhere? Did anything really have significance or meaning? And you might be like, well, there was some good times, right? But is sentience, the feeling, the emotions, do those have any real meaning? Do they carry value? And that's why I like Christ. And the idea, the conception, I believe Christ was a real man. It's the idea of, I believe that we are depraved of love. I think love is a very powerful emotion. And you could believe that, yes or no. I believe in love. And not only did he come, he was the authority. Because every discipline has a master or someone that speaks with authority, right? Whether you love, for instance, composing music. I like Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky is an authority for me, so he has an interpretation of music. Sigmund Freud, when it comes to psychology. For me, the master of love was Jesus Christ, because he was the master, he had the highest value, and he had the authority to say it. No matter what philosophy, teaching, construct you learn, or you want, you desire, there has to be someone of authority to live it, to teach it, or else it's not that strong. It doesn't make sense. It's not applicable. Now I'm going to wrap up on the Christian side of this, but some verses that really speak to me is Christ saying, because I live, you also shall live. And also, for whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. And there's another verse that talks about, carry on my burden because it's lighter. It's a lighter yoke. There's so many questions we could ask in this reality and so many things that we could ponder. But if we spend our whole life pondering and questioning, and not, well, you can actually question, because questioning also leads to learning, but it's also a lot harder if you don't invest in stuff or try things out to see if things actually have merit. Now here's the thing. I believe you could find, Christ wants you to live honorably, regardless if you're atheist or Christian. I hope you find a Christian faith, but he wants you to find an honorable life, and you should find an honorable life. Now, if you're atheist or not agnostic, whatever, I'm for anything that doesn't include debauchery or murder. or imprisoning someone else. And it could be based on relative arguments, whatever. But it's ultimately up to you what you decide what you want to do. Like, you give anything you want meaning and anything you want value. You can make anything you want to be your significance. You want to be a cake decorator? Go for it. Like, who sincerely has the authority to say otherwise? One of the biggest things that requires of both walks of life is faith. You may never get an affirmation that what you're doing is right, because you want to find someone that wants to pursue the lifestyle that you want to pursue, and that person will tell you whether or not it's right or wrong. Here's the kicker. There's only certain types of affirmation you can give or get that are healthy for you. And you may not get the affirmation that you need in your life. And that's part of being unapologetic and being unfiltered and really pursuing the things that you want. You might want to start some kind of crazy show and no one's ever done it. You're like a chimpanzee being shot into outer space. And it's going to be difficult because we live in this digital age where everything's so instant and everything's right away. I think part of also finding meaning is learning how to love yourself and love your personality traits and be able to accept that you may not be where you want to be in life, or you're not doing what you want to do, but at least you recognize that you're at a start. It's kind of like a new beginning, although it feels like it's never been a beginning, but that's the best place to start. Now, I'm not your dad or your guardian, and I'll never tell you whether or not the decision you made was right or wrong, but you gotta take the dive. You gotta go into the mystery. You gotta accept the call of adventure, and you gotta figure things out, maybe on your own, or maybe you could find friends that be able to help you along the way. But that's part of the battle. That's part of the love of it, is the adventure itself. Now, in closing, I can give you the meaning of life, and I told you 3 or 4 times what my meaning is. But you gotta decide. You gotta weigh your options. You gotta weigh your reality. You gotta weigh where you're at in life and decide what really has meaning and why it's important to you. And that's it for this video. I'd like to thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know that you love it, that you love me. Otherwise, best of luck and Godspeed.